For decades, space exploration was dominated by government agencies like NASA, ROSCOSMOS and ESA. But in recent years, privately funded space companies have emerged as major players aiming to greatly expand humanity's presence in space. Two of the leading companies driving this new commercial space race are SpaceX and Blue Origin. Their ambitious founders, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, have set their sights on revolutionizing space transportation to eventually establish permanent settlements on Mars. Here is an in-depth look at how these rival companies are innovating new rocket and spacecraft technologies to make affordable, commercial space travel a reality. For many years after the Apollo era, space launches were primarily executed by government agencies due to the exorbitant costs and risks involved. But in the early 2000s, nascent private space companies began emerging, hoping to drive down costs through reusable rocket technology. After multiple failures, SpaceX successfully launched and recovered their Falcon 9 rocket in 2015, proving that reusable boosters were viable. This key milestone ignited the commercial space industry and opened up affordable launch services for commercial and government clients. Besides cost savings, private spaceflight also promotes faster innovation cycles, as companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin aggressively design, test, and iterate on new space tech. Their efforts are complemented by startups focusing on space tourism, satellite networks, space mining, and much more. This new dynamism and funding from the private sector promises to greatly accelerate humanity's expansion into space. Founded in 2002 by Elon Musk, SpaceX pioneered reusable rocket technology to slash the costs of space launches. After early setbacks, they successfully launched the world's first privately developed liquid-fueled rocket to reach orbit in 2008. Since then, SpaceX has had over 100 successful launches using their workhorse Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy rockets, completely changing the economics of spaceflight. Some key innovations at SpaceX include reusable first stages. By propulsively landing and reusing rocket boosters, SpaceX reduces launch costs up to 30%. Dragon spacecraft. NASA contracted SpaceX to build this reusable spaceship for cargo and now human transport to the International Space Station. Starlink satellite constellation. SpaceX has launched over 1,700 satellites to provide affordable broadband worldwide, with plans for up to 42,000 more. Raptor engines. SpaceX developed the Raptor to power its next-gen reusable rocket Starship. Raptor uses methane fuel, allowing refueling on Mars. Starship. This fully reusable stainless steel vehicle is designed to carry over 100 tons to Earth orbit and Mars. Early orbital test flights show promise. SpaceX's advancements have enabled it to sign lucrative commercial launch contracts with companies, governments, and even space tourism startups. Its astronaut taxi service provides transportation the ISS for NASA. And Starship has been contracted by NASA as a lunar lander for returning astronauts to the Moon. By reducing spaceflight costs and working towards complete reusability, SpaceX aims to make life multiplanetary. Founded 3 years before SpaceX, Blue Origin was started by Jeff Bezos with the vision of enabling millions of people living and working in space. Bezos funds the company through his personal wealth as Amazon's founder. Although Blue Origin initially focused on suborbital spaceflight, it has expanded efforts to create orbital-class rocket systems. Some key projects at Blue Origin include New Shepard rocket. Their reusable rocket provides a short suborbital space tourism experience, with over a dozen crewed launches so far. New Glenn rocket. This heavy-lift orbital rocket aiming to rival Falcon 9 and Delta IV is still under development, with a 2021 debut delayed. B4 engine, made in partnership with ULA, this liquefied natural gas engine will power New Glenn and ULA's Vulcan rocket. Moon lander. Blue Origin is creating a crewed lunar lander capable of carrying scientific payloads and rovers to support NASA's lunar plans. Orbital Reef, a commercial space station in low Earth orbit being developed with Boeing, Sierra Nevada, and others. While they lag behind SpaceX in launch capability, Blue Origin's space tourism offering provides high-altitude experiences to paying customers. Its orbital rocket and space station plans also position it to be a player in commercial space markets beyond suborbital flights. However, Delays in testing in orbit have prevented it from competing head-to-head yet with SpaceX. The arrival of commercial space companies has created new opportunities for private entities looking to capitalize on space-based services. This includes satellite broadband. SpaceX Starlink has shown strong consumer demand for affordable, low-latency internet from space. Competitors like OneWeb and Amazon's Project Kuiper aim to launch competing satellite networks. Space mining. Startups like Planetary Resources are investigating mining asteroids for precious metals and other valuable resources. Expanding humanity's access to space resources will be key for growth. Space manufacturing. Microgravity provides unique benefits for manufacturing products like electronics, alloys, and protein crystals. Made in Space demonstrated this by 3D printing on the ISS. Space tourism. Suborbital and orbital space tourism could become a lucrative industry. Besides Blue Origin, Virgin Galactic also aims to fly space tourists on Spaceship Two. Human spaceflight services. SpaceX Dragon and Boeing Starliner provide crew transportation to the ISS for NASA. A major goal driving private space companies is furthering human space exploration. Efforts by SpaceX and Blue Origin to create new rockets and spacecraft also offer benefits for human spaceflight, including ISS crew rotation. The Crew Dragon and Starliner provide regular astronaut flights to keep the ISS fully staffed with rotating crews. Lunar plans. NASA will rely on commercial landers like SpaceX Starship to ferry astronauts between lunar orbit and the surface in upcoming moon missions. Space tourism. Suborbital and orbital space tourism flights being developed can help fund technology needed for deep space exploration. Colonization preparation. SpaceX's long-term Mars settlement plans align with NASA's goal of learning to live on other planets, requiring new transport options. With more competition and private capital now involved, human space travel is no longer the sole domain of government agencies. Companies have an outsized impact on space infrastructure and technology. The Red Planet has long captivated humanity's imagination of living on and exploring other worlds. As rocketry and life support systems advance, a crewed Mars mission appears increasingly achievable in the coming decades. SpaceX and Blue Origin both ultimately have their sights set on Mars colonization. SpaceX's expansive Starship system was designed from the onset to enable mass transport of people and cargo to establish a permanent Mars colony. By completely reusing both booster and ship, launch costs could drop below $10 million according to Musk. This affordability can enable colonies to be self-sustaining through continuous essential supply shipments from Earth. While not actively developing Mars ships yet, Blue Origin's founder has voiced long-term visions of rotating space colonies orbiting Mars as future living and work spaces. Bezos predicts that with enough time and innovation in space access, humanity's heavy industry will move off Earth to preserve our home planet. This privatized race to Mars has accelerated the pace of rocket evolution. The urge to claim the title of first company to land humans on Mars will drive further ambitious progress from both rivals. Although NASA also maintains Mars exploration plans, it benefits from private companies tackling space transport and infrastructure needs. This ultimately frees up budget for the space agency to focus more on pioneering robotics and science. An exciting new era of spaceflight driven by private capital and innovation has energized progression beyond Earth's orbit. As companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin develop more advanced and affordable systems, launch activity will continue growing to open up space's possibilities. In time, once only imagined concepts like commercial space stations, deep space tourism, lunar bases, and Mars settlements can edge towards reality through ambitious efforts now underway. While risks and hurdles to people living beyond Earth remain, new breakthroughs are unlocked every year in space technology and enterprise. Powerful rockets that provide open access to space are key to enable humanity's dreams and shared destiny among the stars. The thriving private space industry promises to accelerate this journey in the 21st century.